Hey everybody, it's Mark Bouchard with Police Mentors. Today we're going to be talking about a book, Increasing Resilience in Police and Emergency Personnel, written by Dr. Stephanie Conn. She's awesome and this book is awesome, so let's jump right in. All right, chapter 1 is Are Police Resilient? And in regards to resilience, she defines it as the ability to bounce back. Here's a quote. Overwhelmingly, experts agree that resilience isn't something that you have or don't have. It's neither a state nor a trait, but a process. So it's like officer safety. It needs a daily commitment. We don't take officer safety for granted. We have to work at it, practice it, and be intentional about it. Same thing with our resilience. Basically, we need to choose our healthy coping strategies so that we can be resilient. It's not just something that we naturally will have or have not. Here's another quote. If a person were resilient, wouldn't they prevent themselves from developing PTSD, depression, or marital difficulty in the first place? And she says, no. So it's not that you're either there's this perfect person who doesn't go through problems or you aren't. It's that you learn to develop these resilient coping strategies, that you choose to be resilient. She talks about going through being super busy, doing her own, PhD and writing this, and that she just chose to be resilient despite going through challenging times as she was doing it. Here's another quote. At times there are circumstances which are so profoundly impactful, interrupting the body's defense mechanism and normal coping activities, rendering individual vulnerable to psychiatric issues or injuries, And another one. The majority of first responders do not develop PTSD or other mental health disorders. And one of the things I love about Dr. Conn's book is that she basically is trying to tell us how to be healthy. It's that you can be healthy, right? And yes, we'll go through some hard calls and hard times, but she's giving us the tools to believe that we can be healthy. And now it's on us to actually use them to practice choosing to be healthy and then put those healthy coping styles into action. So here's another quote. PTSD draws the majority of attention despite findings that suggest that generalized anxiety disorder or major depressive disorder is more likely to develop following trauma exposures. We hear so much about PTSD within the policing community, but we really don't hear a lot about generalized anxiety disorder, major depressive disorder, the other types of even substance abuse disorder, the other type of issues that can impact us as police officers. Even for myself, I talk a lot about my PTSD diagnosis. I don't talk a lot about having been diagnosed with depression. And I don't know, maybe it just doesn't sound as, cool to talk about. I don't want to say cool because it really isn't cool. But I feel like PTSD does get more of the attention, even though, some of those other issues are very serious and are also things that we can be proactive to try and help ourselves with. So she also talks, there's another chapter about critical police incidents. And here's another quote. Running from your problems is a race you will not win. I think that's so important because so much of what we're often doing is unhealthy coping strategies, right? It's, okay, I'm just going to get drunk or I'm going to go do things that are exciting, like having an affair or, high-risk sexual behavior. When instead, if we just put that time into journaling or getting out in nature or connecting with loved ones, that can be what helps us to heal. But often we're so afraid to feel our feelings that we end up running away from them. She also says, suppressing feelings about events intensifies them and also has negative consequences for your health, particularly your cardiovascular and immune system. So once again, I know when I was a new cop, that's kind of what we got taught is just, let's go sit in the parking lot and drink beers after. Let's just kind of repress our feelings. Let's not talk about them. And then they just get worse. And I know I had some calls that bothered me for like 10 years, like a fatal crash, a next of kin telling someone their kid had died. And it wasn't time that made it go away. It was working on it. And part of that was seeing a psychologist, and part of that was journaling and actually just expressing the pain that I had. And I couldn't even think about it without breaking down crying before. And now I can talk about it like in this video. And I still have a sad memory, but I don't carry around this weight of the pain that I used to. She also talks about secondary traumatic stress. And here's what she says. STS refers to a set of psychological symptoms that mimic PTSD, but unlike the singular critical incident that tends to accompany PTSD, STS occurs when a police officer is continually exposed to the suffering and traumatization of others. As police officers, we deal with a lot of challenging situations. And when we get into the job, we often think it's all going to be about the danger and it's all going to be about someone trying to kill us. And there are aspects of that can be very real. But I think more often we're dealing with suffering and pain of others. We're dealing with someone who loses a child, dealing with a child drowning, or, a workplace fall or injury that kills someone, or just all kinds of trauma and pain. And I like the quote from Lieutenant Colonel Dave Grossman, pain shared is pain divided. So we often end up picking up another piece of that pain from someone else. And a book like this really can help us to learn what to do. Here's how to take care of yourself. So there's a quote for that. Let's dive into it. What to do. Acknowledge that you're having a normal reaction to traumatic events and that your body is telling you that you need to deal with it. So again, there's a common theme here, which is not just pretending it doesn't happen, not just carrying it around so no one knows that it bothers you, but instead actually intentionally dealing with it. Dr. Conn also goes on to talk about some of the non-operational stressors because, yeah, we have the danger, that type of side. We also have the emotional pain and the trauma, but then we have the other side of the job. And I didn't have any idea about this when I started. And for me, that looked like things like even like workplace bullying, harassment, that type of stuff. But it's not limited to that. So she mentions things like overtime and shift work and, short staffing, call outs, all those kind of things. Another quote that I like, nobody is too busy. It's all about priorities. And I think what she's saying there is we have to choose to prioritize the things outside of our police life. Because policing, there's always another emergency and it can feel like we always need to run in and deal with that emergency. But we also need to invest in ourselves, in our own health, in our own rest and recovery, in our families, in our loved ones. And I know from talking to Dr. Conn, she was really influenced by Dr. Gil Martin. And he has a book, Emotional Survival for Law Enforcement, another fantastic book. And that's a part of what he really argues, is that we need something beyond our police identity. And we have this idea of, I am a cop. No, you're not. You're a person. You're a person first. And you need to stay a healthy person that has multiple roles in their identity, not just being a cop. So a father, a hockey player, I like to work out, I play poker on Fridays, or whatever all those little things are. Those are what help to keep you healthy. And Dr. Conn with this book does a fantastic job telling us how to keep ourselves healthy. So I'll put a link into the below so you can access it to go and buy this book, go and read it. Like, this is a short summary meant to give you an idea of what you can get from this book, but there's so much more good in this book. So please go and read this book. It will help you. So leave me a comment. Let me know what you think and let me know what else you'd like to see a video about. Thank you.